need to get a better mic. Maybe the sensitivity's a little too much. All right. Time to get this bird in the air. Just gotta get a flight plan situated here. See what Simbury thinks it should take for fuel. I'm thinking about 8,000 pounds. So today we're going to look at the settings. We're going to run full realism. We are going to use the AFE, and I'm using the GPS. So purists will hate me, but I want to make sure we get this. This is going to be a flight for BLL Air. And so we're going to log that, and we're moving this plane from France. We just got it, so we bought it for the VA, and we're going to fly it back to the North America, and then we can start doing flights with it for the group. Make some money, virtual money. Oh, Merlin. Hello. Thank you. I don't have any of that stuff set up. I'm not fancy like Super. I don't know this stuff very well, so kind of a noob streamer. I'm just going to do a real quick thing here and then get going. I'm going to Glasgow. Yeah, it was a good greeting. Thank you. Appreciate it. AGCC. Let's see, where is that? It wants to do... Man, Simbrief's alternates are weird. I want to know where they calculate that from. EGCC doesn't... See, I would go to Prestwick because it's fairly close, so EGPK. I don't understand why it might have to do with weather. Ah, yeah. Well, I'll try to kind of talk through what I'm doing. I'm going to do a realistic startup, which is really fun. And there's a little trick to it. I mean, the manual has it a certain way. There's a POH has it a certain way. I think Robert does it a certain way. I don't even know if he does the full-on manual start in. I think he does in the tutorial videos he did, which I recommend watching. And then there's the tutorial flight. And I think there's a second tutorial that's the cold and dark one. I've done that one once. And I think the first one, I think I did that one like twice. But one of the guys on the forums, one of the testers, kind of had a slightly different method. Not much, but just a couple little things different, and it works for me every time. Works really well. So I'm not flying. I'm on West server, but I have multiplayer turned off. I know they fixed the bugs and stuff, but I thought it's a long flight. I want to kind of have the winning hand, if you will, and not get a crash, hopefully. So that's my plan. Now, cruise altitude. I did a new briefing on ForeFlight today. And yeah, there's a lot of weather along the route, like you were showing yesterday, icing. So 10,000, 12,000 would be nice, but I'm guessing that we could probably start out with that altitude, but I might have to come down a bit into warmer air. Maybe 8,000 as we're going through the northern part of France and then over the channel there. We'll see. It's a long flight. I'm not going to stream the whole thing. I'll probably stream departure and a little bit of the cruise, and then and then I'll probably jump off, uh, work on some liveries while I'm kind of monitoring, because I have another computer I do those on, and then maybe I'll put a stream back up when the landing happens, which will be probably three and a half hours at least. Okay, so I did a fun little livery. I was playing around with it yesterday, kind of learned how the paint kit worked for the DC-6, which will be nice because I'm going to do a nice Legends livery um, for this. I think it lends itself. Carbon's design is perfect for it. I'll make a few adjustments so that it fits the era. But yeah, I just kind of did this pukey green faded paint, playing around with it, and yeah, fun. Really nicely done paint kit by PMDG. They do such a nice job on their planes. Everything's animated, which is really cool. The front door. Okay, so I think for this I'm just going to put in, oh, wrong route. 821 nautical miles altitude. We're going to put 12,000 feet. Probably more like, let's do 10. I'm in SimBrief right now looking at this. Just want to see what it thinks. I don't know how accurate the aircraft config they have. I don't know if it matches the PMDG quite right. So this says 9,400 pounds of fuel. Sounds right. I think ForeFlight had something like 8. And I mean, that doesn't even have the right performance profile. I had to make something up that was close to the numbers. Let's see. Looks great for an aircraft made good enough for Ferry. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. I'll spend some more time. I actually spent way more time on it than I should have. And for the life of me, I thought I was doing something wrong with the comp maps, which are for doing like the matte color, the metalness or the roughness and all that. And lo and behold, it was an error in one of the config files for the texture, because I had copied the basic PMDG paint over and then just started overwriting stuff with newly made stuff. The text file for theirs is a little different than if you were doing your own livery, and I missed one little line. And so when I figured that out, 2 hours of time, I was so mad. I wasted so much time on and didn't even realize it was that one thing because I wasn't getting what I was wanting. But once I did that, it finally worked. So I think I've got the paint kit sorted, so it should make painting this pretty straightforward for me. It's certainly the UVs are certainly laid out nicer than a lot of the stock aircraft for the sim. The stock aircraft are a bit tricky. And actually the 208 I just finished up, I had to do some blender work because it's just too hard to try to line parts up. All right, so we're gonna get rid of the wheel chocks and we're gonna look at the fuel and load manager. This thing's really nice. So I think we're gonna just do a straight up 10,000. Whoops. We're gonna do 10,000 pounds of fuel. Now we'll do 10.5. That should give us plenty. Because we're doing this for the airline, we are not going to do, there's no passengers or cargo. Interesting. Zero fuel weight. Wow, those are really different. I'm looking at the little FS Airlines app and it, well, we'll see if this works. That doesn't seem right, but whatever. Okay, so we're going to use the flight engineer to do all this good stuff. I'll do the manual start. The AFE doesn't do the starts anyway. So it's fun. It's just not too hard to do. I've already got a few things on, and so let's see. Got the route planned. One other thing I got to get going is some way to mix the audio here. I don't have a mixer, so I can kind of get the music stuff, all the audio balanced, because I don't know if my mic and the sim sound and all that, because the one thing you want to hear in this sim is this airplane, especially on the stream. It sounds so cool. So let's do that. Let's turn the music off so we can hear the AFE. Anyway, turn it back on when we're cruising. Yeah, it is. It's funny. There were definitely a few days there I was flying this and having problems with the engine starts and stuff. But now I've got this one down pretty well, the way you do it, and it works really well for me. So I think it was Carl, one of the testers, he posted in the PMDG forums about this startup procedure. And he also, I think they're going to be continuing to add more realism to this, like just a first pass, get it out the door, and as they're figuring things out with the sim, they can add more nuance to it, which will be cool. So we get to open the window, which is really cool. It actually really affects the sound, so you can really hear the engines more when you do that. I really need to get a new track IR. Mine's broken. It would make looking around a lot easier. I don't have any wing views set up in this yet. I'm just using default views that I mapped that came with the plane. I mapped them to my number keys so I can quickly look at stuff. I can look at all this, like the icing and some of the lighting. You've got the overhead, the lower overhead, the upper part, temp control. So let's see what else we got. Props. This one I use a lot to look at your gauges. It's important. Let's see. Okay. All right. So I think I've got it all set. So I'm going to try to see what we got here. So basically, he'll go through and turn on the generators, and there's a couple things I already turned on, like the seat belts, emergency lights, that kind of stuff I already turned on. He turns on the inverters. And I think he sets the engine selector to 3, because you start this thing in 3, 4, 2, and 1. That's how you start it. And if you have trouble starting an engine, they say to move on to the next one and come back to it. There's also a way that you can, and I know this works. I was able to, I couldn't get it started, and so what I did was I just motored the prop with full throttles and no fuel or spark, because I think they're simulating, I don't know if like vapor lock, or I don't know what they're simulating, if they're simulating like a fuel flow thing or a flooding or something, but Okay, so start engine. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the start now. In the real plane, I think that you, because you don't have two hands, you know, and you have to use a mouse and all, I think you flip the safety, you have to hold the safety switch and then pull on the starter, I think, in the real plane. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to run the starter, count to 9, give it spark, then boost, then prime, and then come down here and intro fuel to auto lean. And then once it starts going a little bit and it gets, you know, it gets going, I'll go to rich and then I'll check my RPM, because you want to have it idling around 1,000 RPM to get it good and warm. And yeah, so let's do it. And he'll call the cycles for you, which is nice. So here we go.
3, 6, 5.
So at 9, we're going to give that 12 boost prime. And look at that. Nothing. Of course. Okay. So we're going to start back over again. Double check everything. Pumps are on. Okay. I think I waited too long. All right, let's try it again. This will work.
3, 6, 5, 12.
There we go. Okay, so as it gets going, you want to jiggle that throttle lever a little bit just to kind of see the gauge on the manifold move a little bit. And then we're going to bring it back a little bit. I also have my arrow keys mapped for doing stuff like this, so you can really see the gauge. And I think Robert goes over that in one of his videos too, is it's important to get the right view so you can see where this stuff's sitting. Because if you're sitting up here and you look down at it, it may not be registering the same value if you look at it from an angle. So there it goes, and then here's our temps over here. So for people that don't know this plane, it's overwhelming at first because there's so many gauges, and then you've got all these needles and stuff. So number 3 and 4, so think of it like on the far right here, these gauges where you've got these 2 lights on, which are indicating low temp and pressure for oil. Basically number 4 is all the way on the right, then 3, then 2, then 1. So those are the gauges. And then in a similar fashion with like cylinder head temps and water pressure, which is for cooling the engines when you're going to run it, the boost for doing, you know, heavier loads for takeoffs, and then you've got the 2 needles, and then the BMEPs, which are also something that you're going to look at a lot. They're all individual for each engine, so there's kind of a mix. Some are 2 in 1 and some are their own gauge. Yeah, the start's fun. As you noticed, the timing is important. If you're not on it, it doesn't it's finicky. It's like the real airplane. Not that I've flown one, but from what I've heard. Okay, so engine 4. So we're going to turn on the start selector and boost pump goes to low. And then we'll hit the starter. Let him count.
3, 6, 5,
Spark.
12.
There it goes. So the reason you don't have to have the fuel levers up, and I think in the basic plane when you're not running it in realistic mode, the levers are already in auto rich or lean or something. But because you're doing the boost, it's getting that fuel, even though you have no fuel introduced. and you're priming it. So it's squirting that fuel in there. So number 3 is idling a little bit higher now, and it's cool because as the engine warms up, it'll change. It'll actually idle higher, and the temp's coming up. So you can see the oil temp on 3 is almost out of the red. The pressure's low because we're, obviously we're at 1,000 RPM. And I'll just bring that up a little bit. This takes a lot of management, this plane. You have to just be on it. And then if you look at the AFE, which is cool, you can look at the stress visualizer. And so everything's good so far. And the oil temp on number 3 isn't up there yet, so it's yellow. But other than that, everything's in the green, so that's good. Okay, number 2. There we go. This looks cool. Yeah, I can't quite see it. All right, number 2. The way they've got this thing animated, all the shaking is just really cool. I'm gonna close this. It really makes a difference when you have both windows open. It's quite loud. All right. Number 1.
12.
So 3 and 4 are coming up now. They're warming up. So we're gonna bring them back a little bit. Try and keep it around 1,000. 2 can come down a tiny bit. And so can 1. As long as you're ballpark, I think it's okay. I mean, I haven't bricked a plane yet, other than one engine failed on me, but it was because the carb froze up because I wasn't paying attention. Oops. So that was my fault, and I still landed it, no problem. I didn't bother going through the procedure. There is a procedure for that, and you can restart, but I didn't bother with it. I just wanted to make sure I could land because it was kind of sketchy weather. Okay, so the plane's all running now. So what's going to happen is the AFE is going to go in and shut these pumps off, set the engine selector to off, and go in and do a couple other things with, let's see, I'm trying to remember what the AFE does. Does he do, hydraulics? Nope, hydraulics are already on, carb heat, all that good stuff. I think we'll lock the mixture in at some point. Let's go through it. Let me see here. So,
Start selecting bus pumps.
there he goes.
Off and off. Battery switch.
Battery is to plain battery. Yeah,
Generators and inverters.
they're on.
Checked and on. Emergency lights.
On.
Off. Ground power.
Off.
Removed.
Oh, removed. Okay.
After start checks complete.
There we go. Cool. Got to let it warm up though. So that's the thing with this plane. You just have to have extra time to fly. Everything takes a little longer, but it's cool. Interesting. Engine 1's oil temperature is cold. Yeah, okay, that's why. Yeah, each engine is its own thing. It's cool. I've been noticing. So every airframe, so every basic paint job you have, will have its own clock time, airframe hours clocked. Engine and prop time, all this stuff will change. Each engine will burn fuel differently. I mean oil, which is really cool, and fuel. Um, so I noticed. So and it's interesting. I think I don't know, I have maybe 10 hours, 12, 15. I don't know how many hours I have in this now, but a couple of the airframes I was flying, they were pretty much almost burning like about a gallon an hour of oil, which is pretty standard, I guess. Um, they didn't have super tight tolerances on these engines, I guess, but and each engine holds 35 gallons of oil. So probably want to be bringing some of that along for the ride. So how much does, and then it's what, it's got 144 spark plugs. Um, so spares, man, if you have to carry spares, I wonder what the minimum requirement is on that. Do you want a spare for at least one for everything? So plugs, probably a bunch of oil, so you gotta have room for that. And for this flight, if we're going over water, we'd have to have all the dinghy gear and all that stuff, survival gear. So I didn't put extra weight in here. I should have, but I didn't. So another tricky one that's going to get people is this lock, the gust lock, or there's another name for it. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but what it does is this thing right here, you'll flip that up when you want to start going, because what that does is it blocks you here. But now what's cool about this though is you can use this for run-ups. And it just prevents the other ones from going too far forward. And if you just click this, it'll release it. Let's see, okay. This is pretty wild. Whoops. Oh, no. Crap. Did it just dump fuel? That's a bug. You shouldn't be able to dump fuel with the door closed. All right, we're in the green. Taxi time. So that's set. Yes, all right, so wind. What is the wind? Standby. 260 at 7. So runway 20. So let me see where I'm at here. Oh yeah, that's such a cool plane. All right. There's the windsock, so that looks close to right. Yeah. All right. So parking brake, which is right here. Here's your parking brake. Let's turn on the transponder. Ident. And then we'll do the before takeoff checklist from the AFE when we get rolling. And it'll roll on its own at 1,000 RPM, as you can see, once you let the brakes off. So just kind of leisurely stroll. What you can do when you first start the plane, if you want to start moving quicker, is you just leave it, depending on where you're coming out of. If it's not too hilly on the airport, you can usually get rolling and let it warm up as you roll to the runway. Yeah, maintainer's dream for sure. Definitely job security, huh? Now, let's see here. I need to look at a chart because I don't know this airfield. Can you get over there from... Yeah, that's what I thought. So we're going to have to back taxi. Uh, it looks like. Just fine. See where it shakes there? It starts to oscillate. That's the... You don't want to keep it in that area. If you leave it in that weird oscillation zone for too long, it's not good. See, it starts to shake. We really need to change the brakes on this. They're very noisy. So I have had zero, I think I had one crash, but I think it was a mod that might have caused it. So I've had no problems with this airplane other than pilot errors, which are most of the cases, I think, and it's been great, and the performance has been excellent. I can't tell a difference between this and some of the stock airplanes. I think it performs really well. Obviously, there's still stutters and slowdowns at certain airfields because of the sim, and I don't know when that'll get fixed. Okay, so we're going to run the checklist to let him do the before takeoff.
Boost pumps.
So the boost pumps come back on.
Boost pumps on low. Fuel selector and crossfeed. Main tanks and crossfeed off. Autopilot and carb heat. Off and cold. Hydraulic system. Down, forward, pressure and quantity checked. Okay. Flaps 20.
Oh, that was a bad turn.
Flaps set 20. Windows and turbine. Closed and on. Controls. Gas lock released. Free. Detonator. On. Mixture and cowl flaps. Bridge unlocked. Set. Transponder. On. Landing lights. Extended and on. Before takeoff checks complete.
Okay, so takeoff, we're going to do a dry takeoff because we're not that heavy. We're very light, which is cool. You would not do a wet takeoff, which is where it will inject water to cool the engines for higher performance takeoff. So your manifold pressure would be higher. So you'd be operating more closer to the 60. So we're going to do standard because you're not over 88,000 pounds. I think that's the number, around 88 or 86 and higher. I can't remember which number it was. So we'll do a dry.
30 inches stabilized.
So this is where I want my throttles to stay in their detent on my controller so that the AFE can control the throttles now.
30 inches, stabilized. Cowl flaps. Cowl flaps. Cowl flaps set. Full power, please. Going full power. Full power set.
Rolling. Here we go. So unlike these jet airliners, this is a shallow takeoff. So we're gonna pull back slightly at 100 knots. Tap the brakes, and then kind of pitch down, keep the pitch down so we're coming up just a little bit. I went a little bit too much. Coming off the ground. I'm gonna do the gear. So gear's coming up. There we go. Flaps coming up. Clean up the plane. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna look and we're gonna see that we are going the wrong way. So we're gonna start to make a nice lazy turn. And we're gonna try to keep it around 165, 170 knots. So I'm pitching trim. AFE's controlling the throttles, so he's just bringing them back a little bit, and the prop. I'll just do a nice lazy turn here. And we can pitch up a little bit more because we're getting a lot of speed. There we go. Just have a peek at the GPS. I'll do more flights for sure in this with, I'll stream some more flights doing just VOR, but for this one I wanted to do GPS just to make sure that nothing goes wrong with getting to the destinations, because we're, you know, because it's being tracked and logged on the airline's ACARs. Okay, so here we go. What's our temperature outside? Free air temp is, okay, about 10 Celsius. And we are pitching down. Come on up. Come on up, girl. There we go. That's better. Hard to see. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to straighten it out here because I'm in IMC and you can get disoriented like I am. I got a little bit disoriented there and let it drop. So now that we're here in gyropilot mode, I'm gonna turn on the autopilot and let it pitch. Okay, so it's gonna hold the heading and it's gonna pitch based on this wheel right here, this little glide wheel. And so what I'm doing is it's gonna start to pitch up and bleed speed. And then as we get close to getting on track for the GPS, I'll set it to localizer mode, and because this is set to GPS, and we're set over here, as you can see, it'll track it. Now the other thing you got to do is you can manually bank it, so we're going to turn it a little bit to get it on track. And then once we get up to, I think I'm gonna, oh nice, we're getting up over it. Temps look good. The okay, that looks good. I'll let it keep turning a little bit more, and then I'll straighten it out. And this little silver dot right here is cool because it'll center your turn. So if you click that, now it centers it. And then we can track the needle right here for the GPS. So it's on our right, which makes sense because we're to the left of it. And so we'll just wait for that to line up, and then we'll go into localizer mode and it'll track the GPS. And so for climb, we can climb at a fast, slower speed, which means I can keep pitching it up to bleed more speed. Because I think you want to do about a 165, 170 knot climb. Because it's really light, I think is why I'm a little not. I haven't flown it this light. I've always put a load into it, so it's a little bit interesting to fly it like this. It's climbing like a rocket. It's really cool. But I mean, anyway, it's not a lot to it. I mean, the AFE handles so much that I think anybody can fly this airplane. It takes a little getting used to. I think the startup, but even if you turn off realistic starts, the starts is pretty easy. We're burning a lot of fuel though, as you can see. 1,200 pounds, man. So it's a good bit, but it'll come down when we get to cruise. I'm gonna go to 10,000. Actually, let's do 9 now. Yeah, we'll do 10,000. So what the thing you want to do too is, as you're starting to get close to your altitude, is you want to start dialing it back, because you don't really want to do much more than 200-300 feet per minute, and that way it'll capture the altitude, because there's an altitude hold. It'll capture that nicer, and so, and the speed's coming up, which makes sense. A little bit of turbulence, it looks like. The needle's coming over for the GPS. All right, so at about 10,000, we're gonna hit that button, so it's gonna level off now. And then I'll let it accelerate a little bit to cruise, and then I'll do the cruise checklist, or the AFE will do it. All right, so I'm gonna do the cruise, and what it's gonna do is it's gonna set power, and it's gonna manage the carbs, the carb heat, RPM. And we're almost on the needle here. So what I'll do is I'll change it to localizer as it gets closer. Oh, and that's the other thing that the AFE just did. If you noticed, it sets your cowl flaps too. And that's important because you don't want those things open in cruise. You want to keep the engine heat in there, obviously, but you don't want them to get too hot, so you kind of have to, I guess it's managed based on temp. So now we're lined up almost perfect. So I'm going to hit localizer and now it'll track the GPS. And I'll look at the... And then anytime you want to take control of some step, you just hit abort and the AFE is hands off and you can do everything. So eventually I'm not going to use this at all, but I'm still using it because it makes things easier. Just so you can just fly and have fun. And so everything's in the green. The carb temps, yeah, they're going to be cold, but that's just how it is. And AFE is going to manage it, so I think I'll be all right. And then this shows you the time. So as you can see, you know, engine 3 has been running longer because we started it first. But they're, you know, they're burning oil at a different rate, barely. So, and we're not using any of the icing stuff yet, but that's all up here. So if we do run into icing, this is the panel we'll use to do like carb de-ice and all that. Let's look at the temperature. Whoops. Yeah, so we're still above 0. And I don't see anything on the wings. So, and the carbs, the engines are going still. Yeah, it is crying out for cockpit sharing, Merlin. A little bit of turbulence here, which is not surprising. Lots of weather. I can keep an eye on the temps because that's what worries me the most is just, you know, I don't want to ice up one of these engines like I did before. So paying attention to this and looking at ForeFlight because I think I know their upper level wind models are fairly close to what Meteo Blue is and which is in the sim. I track it a lot and it usually is pretty close, which is kind of nice. Of course, you know, ForeFlight's not an option for everybody because it's expensive and really. Okay, so we're going into clouds here. This is potentially a problem as the temperature is going down a little bit. So definitely wonder if we should come down. 9 miles from our first waypoint. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit nervous. I don't want to lose an engine this early. But maybe if we do, we can go through the procedure to start it again and warm it up and get the ice melted out of the carb if that's what happens, because there is a procedure for it. And the plane ships with the full-on manual, they did omit a few sections that don't make sense, or small parts that don't make sense. Here we go, we're turning. So we're tracking the GPS to our next stop, which is a long, pretty good stretch. About an hour, give or take. And let's see what town that's around. Cancel. Oh. I'm terrible at French, so I'm going to pronounce stuff wrong. Seton? Seton? It's a little town just south of this next waypoint. Hi, Wheels. DC-6. Doing a ferry flight here. We picked one of these up for the Bush League Air, and so it's in France, so we have to fly it back. So I did a little crappy paint job for it, which I'm gonna actually replace with a good Legends paint job based on Carbon's original designs, which we've got one live already. We've got the 2.8 now. I even threw like some fake French registration on here. I think this actually is a plane registered. It's some old plane, but I put a faded registration on it. We're gonna change that when I get it back. So keep an eye on the temp. Yeah, temp's holding. Yeah. Woo. A little bit of weather. Engines are looking good. Yeah, they put a lot of detail in this that I really like. One of the cool things in back here, they did this whole thing here with the scopes and stuff for monitoring the engines and all that. It's really cool. Some Dave Clark headsets laying around. Beemans. There's a story behind that gum. That was a good part of the right stuff. Chuck Yeager was always bumming sticks of that off of people, apparently. Yeah, we've got like we got some jets and some props for the airline. Pretty cool. So Jer and Hutch run that. So I'm gonna be I'll be reworking the fleet paint jobs so that we can get Carbon's nice liveries carried over from their old days when they were flying an X-plane. It will be cool. It's a really nice looking design. One thing I'm looking forward to is someone, I think support posted a link to I want to try to get a set of throttle handles for the Bravo for this plane. I know that people are starting to print them off, but it'd be cool to get a set that looks like these. Because I'm using the 747 throttles right now. They're okay. They're not great. All right, so let's look down here and see what are these set to. So I think it looks like these are set. These might be on a little bit. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Hang on. Crap. Don't dump the fuel. These work, by the way. So we don't want to dump any fuel. I was trying to look at the carb heat. So you'll notice too, like once you get into cruise, you basically release the hydraulic pressure because you're not going to use flaps. We're not using any gear or anything. So you want to do that to minimize stress on the system, which is interesting. And if you forget to do it when you go to land, you won't be able to put your flaps down. And I think the same with the gear too. I think they have manual gear. Do they have the manual gear set up in this too? I thought they had a way to do manual gear. What system is the airline stuff based on? It's FS Airlines. Yeah, if you go into let me take a look here and see if there's a link. Not FS Economy, FS Airlines. Let me see if I can find the link to it. Oh, hey, thanks, bud. Yeah, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Yeah, if you go to the Bush League Legends Discord, in the Bush League Airlines section, just ping in there. If you wanna join up, just ping in there, ping Jer or Hutch, and we'll get you added. Um, and then I think there's some pins in there that have some pin topics that go over like getting set up with it and whatnot. It's a very basic little ACARS app. It's a little finicky, um, but I don't have any issues with it. It runs off of, I think it works with the Sim Connect and FS UIPC. So yeah, works pretty nice. And then there's a page, fsairlines.net, and there's a Bush League page, so you can join the airline. If you ping those guys, they'll get you set up. Right now, the fleet is we just got this DC-6. We got Airbuses, a couple of those, some CJ4s. There's a Longitude, the CRJs. We have the CRJ 700s, the um, the 208, a couple of those. There's a couple of TBMs, um, some 747s, and a 787. I think there's still a 737 from the old when they were doing it in X-Plane. And I think we'll see more of those when PMDG puts out their 737. We'll get some of those for the fleet because that's going to be a must-have plane. So cool. Now we're in the green. Fully green, carb temp. Sitting right around 0. Yeah. Yeah, looks good. Here's your carb air right here. Carb temps down here. So yeah, everything looks good. Just cruising along. So each engine's burn about 600 pounds of fuel, give or take. And you can swing this tablet out of the way, which is nice. You just grab this handle here and get that out of your way so you can look down and wave at everybody down there. Actually, I'm going to turn on some lights. Let's see here. Where is it? There we go. There we go. Get a little bit of cockpit lighting on. You can also go in and do all the lights separate. All the panel lights, you name it. And they're all scattered about the switches, which is funny. A little cold in here. I'll turn the temp up. This works, by the way. So right now, this will start to go up as we blow some warm air in. It's pretty cool. As you change this, you can see the mix valve. Pretty wild. The details are great. Cabin press. I need to figure out the cabin pressure controller. I think I haven't figured this part out yet. Hang on, get my camera messed up here. Hang on. I think that you want to set this to your cruise altitude. I don't know. I need to look at the manuals again. I don't know if he goes over it in the tutorials. I don't remember seeing it in the flight tutorials, but maybe he does. So for about 10,000 feet, I think. Yeah, the control mapping is definitely something to contend with. So I've got the Alpha and the Bravo, and I did unmap a good bit of stuff. In planes like this, I kind of prefer to be able to click on everything I'm just so used to it from the old days and the old simulators and stuff. Just like mouse click everything, just fine. Um, so I just have axes mapped pretty much. And then the views are a good one. So the views are a little tricky with this. You're going to want to look in cameras under instruments. Those are the stock views that the plane ships with. And so that's how you'll get this view. You'll get this view. You get that view. You get that view. This, 0 through 9, basically. I think I did I do 0? Nope, it comes with that, yeah. I just then remap them to my number keys over here on my keyboard, because I've got a little keyboard tray that sits to my side here on my rig, and that's what I like. And that was one of the things I liked a lot about X-Plane, was being able to quickly map views to the number pad. FSX prepared was different. I usually used an app for that. I think I used like Chase Cam or something like that. Let's see. Now I do know that I think people are asking them to release like what is it, the VARs or whatever, the mapping SimVARs, I think it's called. I'm not familiar with that stuff. I don't do a lot of custom mapping, but I think they're asking PMDG to send out like a what's mapped to what, because personally I would love to be able to map the glide dials here for the autopilot to my wheel on my Bravo, my trim wheel, because I'm using the yoke trim for the plane, even though I should be using the wheel, because technically that's how the real plane flies. But maybe I would do the glide to the, I don't know, I'm not sure yet, but yeah, okay, he would know, yeah, the cabin needle. So what's interesting, Merlin, is that I noticed as I was dialing in the, as you change this right here, as you dial in, the cabin is changing as you get higher. See that? So you can change the rate. I'm just gonna leave this. I don't even know if it matters. I mean, I'll look into it though. So nice little tailwind. LFBX. Let's check it out. Where's LFBX? There we go. Basiliak. It's a dirt runway. Gravel treated runway. Paragu. So yeah, making pretty good time, I'd say. Lots of fuel, got plenty of gas. That's not gonna be a problem. And all these gauges are gonna so you'll notice the gauges will change over time, and as the plane wears, as you burn oil and don't refill it, these gauges will actually show that. So every time you restart the plane up with that livery, it'll retain all that. Same with the water. So these gauges will start to change, and it's like persistent. It's cool. Which is not, unusual for them. All their planes have that kind of detail. You can actually turn this off too if you hit that button right there, the PMDG logo, which is kind of cool. So you just turn that off. There you go. Let's see, what else? What have I not looked at? Okay, Wheels, thanks for coming by, buddy. We'll see you later. I like how they... So you've got this one odd gauge right here for the BMAP. And so either that's original and these are replaced, which is my guess, because if you look at most of these are Bendix gauges. So that kind of looks like these are original, and maybe those three here were replaced. They're like a newer gauge. Pretty cool. Yeah, they're kind of a mixed mash of Colesman and Bendix gauges. Darn cool. Darn cool plane, man. I love this airplane. It's so much fun. All right, let's track some VORs here. So we've got, let's do this one, 112.7. And we're gonna do Midhurst. Fortino. Okay. There's that, and then go over here, and we're too far away. So we'll just wait. Oh, yeah, looks like my, oof. What's this all about? It looks like my stream is kind of crappy. I might have to go in and redo. I have to go redo my stream settings a little bit, maybe. Huh. Yeah, see, it's not, huh. I wonder why my signal is not playing nice. Looks like so stream quality's good and then it goes bad. But it's saying 0 drop frames. Huh. Maybe I should bring down the quality just a tiny bit to give myself a little room. I mean, I have good internet here, but who knows. So, I figure if we are how far am I from this? So we're 150 miles. Oops. I'm looking at 4-flight. I should actually get another screen set up that shows 4-flight. I'll have to do that. I'll do that for the next stream. Huh. You know, I wonder if it's because I'm probably this. This is probably part of it. 4-flight. I wonder if... I don't know. So, long way to go still. I'm probably going to let Fred fly the plane here for a bit and maybe drop off the stream for a little while and then come back to it for the descent and landing and all that. And so maybe that's what I'll do right now is figure out, do a little bit of descent planning and prep for what runway possibly, and look at the weather. So, the weather up in Glasgow looks really nice. Almost 70 degrees, no clouds, good viz, light breeze, northwest wind, west northwest, pretty much west. Yeah, forecast is, let's see, 1800 Zulu, a few clouds, yeah. So, rain coming tomorrow, but should be good now. So anyway, so runway, probably gonna do 23. Which works out. So we're gonna do the math. So we're to, let's say, 10,000 feet, and let's get the airport data. What are they, about 1,000 foot pattern altitude? Let's see here. Yeah, we're gonna look at it somewhere else. What I like about 4-flight is you can, so I've got it on a couple of different iPads. I've got the web version, which is kind of nice, and you can send your flights, you can can save your flights and then send them to the map, which is cool. So a lot of times I'll plan flights not even near the computer, and then I'll just send it, because I have my smaller tablet on my yoke here, which I like having. So EGPF. I think the web version's nice for planning and stuff. I like the details of the app better, obviously, because that's what you would use in the real airplane. Let's see. So, yeah. So pattern altitude's going to be about 1,000 feet, 1,100 feet. So, if we want to be to pattern altitude by the time we get there, or a little bit out from the runway, let's see what they got for runway procedures. Might do an RNAV. Ha! An RNAV and a DC-6. 10,000. Is that 45 miles? Is that right? We'd start down 45 miles. I think so. I think that's right math. Thanks, Merlin. Yeah, I'll probably knock off here in a few. Oh, yeah, the flight engineer's seat actually works too, which is cool. There we go. Is my math right? I think it is. Now I'm questioning myself. Let's see. Yeah, that's right math. If we were to, if we need to lose like 8,000 or 9,000 feet, we're either 40, 45 miles, we've got to start down. Yeah. So, typically I think 1,000 foot a minute descent on this bird. At least that's the tutorial, I think, went through that. I did a Canada flight the other day up in the Rockies, which was cool. It was tricky because the airport was like backed up against the Rockies, the Canadian Rockies there, and I think I needed to start descending about 50 miles out, and the problem was I was still over a lot of mountains and I couldn't start at 50 miles. So with this airplane, it's not like you can't get down fast, right? Or well, you can, but then you got to slow down, which is hard to do. You can't just throw flaps out and stuff like that. 174 knots is like, that's your limit there for gear and flaps, I think. So let's see. Yeah. So anyway, I had to kind of do a late descent and somehow got it to slow down. I extended my downwind a little bit, which helped bleed some speed. It all worked out, but it was a little tricky. Good learning experience. Oh, that's right. I forgot I did that view. So this view right here is one that's a little custom. You can barely see the difference, but it just tilts the head up a little bit. I forgot I did that one. Yep, look at all the gauges. Everything looks good. It's kind of cool to see how everything's just a little different. Getting a little cooler. Temps have gone down a tiny bit. But I think we're still in the green here. Yeah, this is interesting. I've noticed this airplane engine 1 is burning more oil a little bit. That's funny because it was the last one to be turned on, but it's burning the most oil. Ha, that's funny. Everything's in the green. Oh, are we getting a break in the weather up here maybe? Looks like it. I mean, this plane is really good about, it likes this altitude. This is a really good altitude for this plane. It's not like the jets where going really high is really helpful sometimes, but you're not really saving that much fuel. At least that's what I was reading about, like where the sweet spots are on this airplane and the altitude and how it's different than, because jets you want to go high as fast as you can, burn less fuel, but it's a whole different ball game. So these old radial engines I think are totally different. Oh, that's cool. So the onboard clock looks like it's actually got the correct local time. That's cool. Got to turn off the lights. So yeah, gonna split this flight up with SJ Fly. He's gonna do some legs. Merlin, if you want to do some legs, man, uh, you're welcome to. Can't have all the fun. I was just gonna do, I think I was gonna go to Glasgow and then I was gonna fly from Glasgow to Iceland and then he was going to take over from there and do the rest of the legs to Toronto. But you know, you guys can chat about it if you want. If you want to jump in the fun. One of the things I want to do is download that free mesh from Orbix for Iceland. I think it's Orbix. Is that right? Orbix Iceland. Whoops. Global Iceland. Yeah. Oh wait, no. Stand by. No, I must be thinking of something. Somebody did something for, I want to say they did something for Iceland. Maybe I'm wrong. I need a few hours in this before Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, get some time in. Just have some fun with it, and I think we'll probably want. I think maybe they should buy a couple more of these, because I think there'll be a few of us that'll fly them regularly, and kind of take inventory of the planes that are there and how often they're flown. Maybe sell a few. I don't know. It's not my call, but oh, cool. DME's come in now to the VOR that we set. Let's see. I am astonished though at how many add-ons have come out. It just really picked up steam in the last 6-8 months, man. So many add-ons for Flight Sim now, which is really cool. I'm not seeing this mesh. Where did I see that? I swear. There's an Iceland mesh. Or was it Greenland? No, there it is. There we go. Iceland mesh. That's it. Free. So it says, created from carefully blended DEM data, Iceland Mesh is a 100% self-contained product with no changes made to the default mesh or any other files. Virtually no noticeable performance impact. Each LOD is consistent without any blurring and minimal LOD morphing. Cool. Compatible with World Update 5 Nordics. Yeah, it's free. Can't beat that. So I'm going to download that. And get it set up for the next flight over to Iceland. And the nice thing with this plane's cool because you don't have to fly it that high. I mean, heck, we could go down to 8,000 feet. And I'm tempted to do that because we are going to hit some icing up here, if I remember right. Oh, I keep getting these skipped frames. That's not good. I need to find out what's causing that. I might have to talk to Super. He's the streaming expert. See if he can give me some guidance. All right, lost my train of thought. What was I thinking about here? I completely forgot. Multitasking gone wrong. Oh, altitude. This would be a fun experiment. Let's do that. All right, so we're probably burning 620 pounds of fuel, 620 pounds of fuel per engine per hour. Right now, we have plenty of fuel to make this trip. So let's excuse me, let's go down. Let's drop our altitude. So the way you do that is just turn off altitude control and then just kind of slide that glide wheel forward a little bit and get your descent rate figured out. And the plane will accelerate, which is fine. Red line's 300, if I'm correct. You don't want to go over 300. So we got plenty of room there. So I think I'll go down at 1,000 a minute. Watch that gauge. So yeah, we'll go down to 8,000. Is that the right altitude for this direction? Probably not. A little bit, yeah, probably, because we're heading west. I definitely, I just thought of something. I did not do the transition altitude correctly. Typically, it's like, what, 5 to 7,000 in Europe's, I think. Oh, well. There, that's close. Oh, cool. There's our needle, too. Our VOR needles come in for number 2. I wasn't looking at that before, so that's working. DME's working. Yeah, I'll have to stream some flights with VOR. For sure. Okay, so coming up on 8,000, I'm going to start to pull this back up. And then let it settle. Okay, maybe I went a little too far. Seems like about 200 foot per minute is a nice 300. I think we do 300. And it captures altitude real nice, and it doesn't, you don't get too much of a porpoising, if you will. I have seen a lot of comments in the forums, like people calling things out and bugs and stuff, but a lot of times I think it's just us making errors with the plane. We make mistakes with it and think it's a bug, but it's not. Just have to fly it different. Not that there aren't bugs, there's bugs. There's definitely still some little things that they'll fix up. But I've run into 0 issues. I have not had one gripe about this thing at all. So I am a customer, a long-time customer though, so I am biased. But they've never done me wrong, and I've always liked their stuff. Always really well done. Good attention to detail. Very few bugs. And when I've had problems, they've been really awesome to help me out, which really hasn't had to. I haven't really had any with any of their airplanes. They always work well. That's better. You can see a little bit better now. So let's look at our fuel burn. It's about the same. Gee, go figure. T altitude was... T altitude. What is T alt? I'm sorry, I'm not understanding. What's that mean? T altitude? We're going to take this to 8. Really don't really need that. We're at 8,000 feet. We don't really need oxygen. What's T altitude? Sorry, I don't know what that means. Oh, thanks. Duh. I just mentioned it. Thank you. Yeah. You know what? Actually, I have another duh. I have whatchamacallit here. I have Navigraph charts too, and I have to use those for Europe because I don't have the European subscription in ForeFlight or the Canadian one or Asia. It's too expensive. I mean, hell, Pro alone is expensive enough, and that's the one I have because I like having the engine profiles for the planes, because it kind of helps with the sim, You want as real as you want to get with it. This is the way to do it. Anyway, uh, yeah. So what's cool about the Navigraph charts is they do show all that stuff. They show the transition altitudes. I like flying in Europe, man. I got into like a little kind of jam of it for a while there, flying for the Bush League Air in the Airbus and doing a bunch of European flights. And uh, it's fun because it's different. The charts are different, things are a little different, and so it was a fun kind of change of pace to, because I mean, I've got so many hours flying in U.S. airspace on the sim over the years. Um, and that's cool. You get used to it. You know what to look for. So I like kind of learning the European stuff. I'd done it before. Um, I've flown in Europe plenty of times in the simulator, but it's fun to just do a regular, kind of get on a regular thing. And I bought a bunch of scenery too from over there, from like, Orbix or some of the other developers. There's some really nice ones, some really nice payware with really nice details. And that's cool because then it kind of makes you fly in those areas because you've bought the software. Here, let's do this. So I'm sure I'll spend thousands of dollars on this sim just like the other ones. And I like the freeware stuff, It's usually, there's some really good work out there, which is pretty impressive. I do, as a developer myself, I kind of want to see more people try to, you know, go payware because, I think people's time is valuable, and, you know, um, like guys like Carbon, I think should be, that dude, man. We owe him some big time like gift cards, man. Time he puts into this stuff. He's not getting paid. He should be. Hell, Microsoft should employ him for fixing the damn airplanes. He's got that prop plane flying real nice now. The 208 is amazing. His mod is awesome, so go check it out. Bush League Legends Discord. It's in the 208 dev release section in development. Along with links to the website bushleaguelegends.com, and that has all the bush planes. I don't know if I mean, let's see, yeah, I wouldn't buy it all for the sim, but I have it for work. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Merlin. I appreciate that. Yeah, the Navigraph subscription is really reasonable, and so I have that because I use the Navigraph in the sim too. I have the data downloaded to replace the NavBlue stuff that they have. Um, and oh, you know what? I was gonna look at the fuel burn real quick. Yeah, look at that. Our fuel flow did not change. Now it was only 2,000 feet, but I think you burn more fuel just trying to climb up than, it's like, yeah, we'll just kind of find a sweet spot and stay here, and there you go. So it's kind of a cool plane for this sim because you can kind of keep it lower and kind of see the terrain. But yes, Navigraph works really well. So I've got that on my iPad, ForeFlight, and I kind of switch between both depending on where I'm flying, and sometimes ForeFlight can handle all of it. Well, when you're flying in the US. So yeah, I was supposed to do this flight last night. I was going to stream a flight last night, and man, for some reason, I was super tired and fell asleep on the couch after dinner. I'd even just gotten a cup of coffee too, and I maybe had a couple of sips of that. Turned on some flight videos or something, some YouTube, and or I can't remember what I had on, but man, I was out. Next thing I know, it was like 12:30 in the morning. I'm like, oh man, so much for streaming tonight and flying. So, but today I'm taking the day off. I'm not doing any yard work or any of that. I should be, but I'm not. My wife's out playing, so if she's out playing, then I'm gonna play. So, no work this today except for laundry. And then I got a short week because we're gonna take some days off for 4th of July here, and then get some more time flying. I want to put some more time into the 208. It's such a cool plane. It's been one of my favorites for a long time. I think I had the Carenado version of it, and then I think I might have had like a modified flight model for it. Somebody went and modified it. I can't remember. There were a few guys that used to do that did really nice stuff. One of my favorites was the 185 tail dragger. That thing was so cool. And it was the, is it Bert Stoll? Is that how you pronounce his name? Bert Stoley? He did the mod for the, he'd done a number of mods, I think, but he did a nice flight dynamic mod to the Carenado 185. And that was one of my favorite planes. And I had the Flight Replicas Super Cub, which was really cool. Tail dragger. They did a really cool version of that with Tundra tires and all that, and a higher, I think they did a 180 horsepower engine, and maybe a 210 as well. And that was on FSX, and then Prepared. They brought it to Prepared, actually. I think there's a free version of it. They made it freeware, but they're working on that for this simulator. I know they are. They talked about it on their Facebook. They've got to be coming out with that thing soon. I hope it's good. Be cool to get another tail dragger. What was that? Did I just hear something? Oh, carbs are cold. Okay, interesting. Let's take a look here and see what we got going on. They were green earlier. Yeah, okay. Air temp's not much different. All right, I'm not gonna worry about it. Engines are still going, so. And where are the cowl flaps at? Yeah, they're at cruise. Everything looks good. Weather looks good. But yeah, Flight Replicas has a really cool PA-18 Super Cub. So I can't wait to see that come over to the sim. I know some guys have converted them, like guys that own the plane. I thought about doing one, just converting it over to fly it, but there's problems with the gauges and stuff. It's just not worth the time. So. I got a little screenshot for the web for the Discord here. And let's see, where are we? We are 6 miles from Binah. Binah. Binah? Is that how you say it in French? Baynar. Laissou. Hey, look at that. You can see the coast. So I said I was going to go off stream and go do stuff, and here I am. It's just so much fun to fly this plane, like, you know, keep an eye on everything. It's like you really have to. I sometimes will do those long flights, and I'll, you know, I'll let auto fly the plane, you know, and go do some stuff and get, you know, do a cross-country flight or a, you know, like full-on cross-country, 2, 3, 4 hour flight. and then get back on deck for landing. I do that sometimes, but I really like to babysit too and just sit here for a while, and especially this plane, look at all the gauges. Keep an eye on it. And with this plane you do, I mean, if an engine quits, you know, unlike the jet, which you're not going to probably have that happen because of the modern, you know, conveniences and whatnot. Oh, all right, Merlin, thanks for dropping by. If you haven't already left, have good dinner, buddy. Um, yeah, yeah, hit me up with questions. I'll try to help. And I need to keep doing more streams of this plane too to try to just get it, you know, if you guys want to watch it later, it'll be on my Twitch and you can check it out. Maybe there'll be some stuff you can pick up. Or if I'm making mistakes, please, somebody tell me. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this is such a cool plane. Good work, PMDG. As usual, you guys are awesome. I've been really, really anxious to get a really good study level plane in the sim. So, I mean, man, I'm really hope you guys get that 737 out the door by the fall. That would be awesome. Hey, Pigpen, what's up, buddy? We don't have any cargo on board today, but I don't know if you saw my post, but they got boxes of pigeons, wooden pigeons on board. There's a running joke with PMDG, that and the pogo stick. Some little Easter eggs you can find in the cargo compartments of their airplanes. So anyway, if you're just jumping in, catching up, ferry flight to, well, eventually to Toronto from France. So picked ourselves up Jer bought a DC-6 for the airline. I'm hoping that we'll get some more. So, you know, I have a feeling this will be a popular plane. Merlin just got it, so he's joined the club. SJ Fly's going to be flying it. He's going to do a couple of the legs. So I'm going to fly this to Glasgow, and then, excuse me, and then I'm going to do a second leg up to Iceland. Reykjavik, is that how you say it? No, Keflavik. Yeah, that's where we're going. Kind of some of the route we did in the world tour. The Joiny, which I'm excited tomorrow. Back to doing a journey flight tomorrow with BLL. So missed it last week because I had to go to a family gathering, which was like a first family gathering we've been to since before the pandemic. So that was kind of cool. Did a little barbecue thing, a birthday party thing. That was fun. But yeah, I'm excited to fly tomorrow. I need to look at the route again and I'm probably going to cheat and use the 208 because I want to get some time in the 208 that Carbon modded. Oh, good deal, man. There you go, Merlin. Way to go. Now go eat. See ya, buddy. Thanks for coming by. I'll do more of these. You can get back in the streaming swing. Oh, Charlie did a stream last night in the... That's right. I completely forgot. I was going to watch it, and then I think I got distracted with something, and then fell asleep. I'll have to go back and watch that. Okay, Charlie, might have to do some flights with you, buddy. If you jump in here ever, we'll have to do some DC-6 action, because I think you probably love the airplane. I'm guessing. How could you not? I think it's a must-have plane for the sim, and I think it's a good plane to learn. I think it's good for learning. She's looking good though. Everything's looking good. Engines are in good shape. Where carbs are warm again. Did the aha, look at that. Okay, so this is what the AFE does. See, he manages the carb temp. So he pulled the heater up a little bit on those just to get them in the green, and then he'll put them back. Eventually I'll do all that myself. I can manage that. It's going to be a trial and error to figure out how much of that you want to do, because you don't want them to get hot either. So if you look here, you want to kind of keep them right in the bottom of the green range here on there. So, and it's amazing how fast. I did play around with these. I think that's why I iced up my carbs on that one flight I was doing, because I was trying to manage everything, and I wasn't doing a very good job, obviously, because I lost an engine, or at least I froze an engine, and yeah, so. But I was playing around with these anyway. I was playing around with them, and it's amazing how fast those things will get hot, and how quickly the temps will go in the red, and you don't want them in the red. If you look at this, the visualizer here, it shows you on the key at the bottom. Obviously you want to be in the green, but and so far in the, I don't know, 15 or so hours I've had in this plane, maybe a little bit more, even when I've done some moderate stress range moments on these engines, doesn't cause a problem. They still, when you look at it on maintenance, they're still in the green. So let's look at our burn here. So, yep, engine, this is hilarious. I love this. So engine one's burning more oil than any of the others. And it's been on, this engine was started last, so it's been running less. If you look at up top here, you've got the engine hours, so we start engine 3 first. So you're gonna see, you can see right here, the start order is pretty, it's indicative, the times. And so the funny thing is, engine 3, which was the first engine we started, is actually burning the least amount of oil. I mean, it's not a ton, but it's almost half a gallon when you look at it. And yeah, not uncommon to burn a gallon an hour for these motors. They hold 35 gallons oil. So what's that oil cost, I wonder? Be fun to look up all the maintenance on this. And we are doing this flight for FS Airlines, so I'm curious to see what the rates are going to be. This flight is not going to generate revenue. We're going to be at a loss because we're ferrying it. So, but that'll get quickly made up. Do cargo runs with it. Oh, time to switch over our VOR to the next station. And then let's look at the map. Okay, so it's still too far away to track. It's because it's over in, it's actually across the channel over in England. No, right, we've got weather coming up. Look at that. Interesting. I wonder if I should try and go over that. What's the temperature outside right now? Probably okay. It's almost 8:30 in the evening over in France right now. The cool thing, the clock on this actually will show you local time based on where you're flying. And there's a stopwatch you can set too. All right, so got a ways to go. Like I mentioned before, I'll probably end the stream at least during this bulk of this rest of the cruise here, and then come back with about 100 miles to go or so, I'm thinking. So just I'm going to take a short break, get some lunch, check on a couple things. Obviously, I've got to keep an eye on this too because it's not like a jet. The AFE's handling things, so I think we'll be okay, but I do worry about icing, and I want to take a look actually and see. Okay, so he's got nothing turned on yet. So I'm pretty sure the AFE is going to manage this because I've got him set to manage cruise. So I'm almost certain that we're in good shape, but you never know. Come back and the airplane's crashed. That would suck. So I think, yeah, I don't know what to do here. If we should go over this or just go right through it. It shouldn't matter. How much fuel? We got plenty of fuel, right? Yeah. Yeah, plenty of fuel. I think I want to go over this. We're going to bleed some speed here because we're not in climb power. If I were controlling things, I could probably configure to a climb. I don't... That would be kind of cool to have an option in here to do a climb. If you wanted to get over weather. I'm going to go back up to 10,000 feet, I think, and just leave it there. And that's what I did the math for anyway for a descent, so it'll still be about a 50 mile, 45 mile. So yeah, I'm gonna get this thing settled up at 10,000 feet, and then I'm gonna take a break, at least from the stream, and I'll come back. So I'll close out the stream, keep flying the plane, let auto fly, and then I'll probably crank another stream up here in the next hour. Like I said, I'll check on a couple things. Where's my mouse? There we go. DVL. Yeah. I think we'll be alright there, maybe. Still gonna fly through clouds. It's alright. Temps aren't terrible. Outside temps not terrible. Not yet. I'm getting a little bit concerned, but not too much. We'll see. We start getting that needle over here, and that's where I'm going to be worried. Whoa, check out that bug. Oh, that's interesting. It's the camera. Huh, weird. It's a little flashing. All right, so I'm going to, oh wait, hey Pigman, hang on, let's see here. Okay, so I'm getting caught up on chat here. You know, it's not hard to fly. It's definitely more work than a jet, but you know, you got to pay attention and a little bit more. Yeah, there's definitely some differences. So let's see, like the gyro pilot, the autopilots, you know, this thing is, you gotta kind of baby it for captures, you know, of things. You know, you don't want to do 90-degree course, you know, like trying to get it to capture. You know, you want to try to get the plane on course as much as possible by hand, and then let it do its job, which is just to kind of. It's like driving in the car, you know, you got the cruise control, you're going to you're going to get up to the speed you want to be to and get it close to that, as close as you can to that speed, and then hit the cruise control. I mean, it's the same thing, you know. So, and then for ease of flight, the automated flight engineer over here, I mean, that really makes it very manageable, because you just go through these, you turn these on each stage of flight that you're going through, and the engineer will manage things for you. And the real airplane is like that. I mean, you've got the pilot, you've got the co-pilot, and you've got the engineer, you know. Ooh, what was that? That was a weird little freeze. That worried me. And the engineers would sit here, the seat flips down, and he'd sit there and he'd manage the throttles and stuff like that. So constantly managing throttles, carb heat, you know, whatever, props, that kind of stuff, keeping an eye on the gauges. The pilot's flying the plane, and the co-pilot's, you know, typically radio guy. So anyway, and so yeah, flying. Jer bought one of these for the Bush League Airlines. So it's in France, so I'm flying this thing from France to Toronto. We're breaking up the legs though, probably 5 legs. So this flight's going up to Glasgow, Scotland, and then the next leg I'm going to take it over to Iceland, and then SJ Fly's going to fly it from Iceland to Greenland to northern Canada, like whatchamacallit, where's he going? What's that airport called? Is it Nunavik? Nunavik? Or is it Newfoundland? No, he's going more west. Anyway, whatever. And so he'll do those legs probably. Get it to Toronto, and then yeah, it's a long haul, but we're breaking it up, and we're not all doing it all at once. And so I'm going to split the flight up. Oh, here we go. So we're going to be crossing the channel now. Cool. Let's see, where are we? So let me look here. So 100 miles from there is about there. It's about where? Okay, Shap. So that's about where I'm going to jump back in the stream, about 100 miles, maybe, I don't know. As long as it takes me to go hit the bathroom and have some lunch, I'm gonna do a Pigpen. I'm gonna do a pause here for a little bit and drop the stream, but I'm gonna come back and start streaming I'll stream the ending of this, the landing and all that, the descent phase and all that. And it'll be up on my Twitch if you guys want to watch it later. I mean, that's why I do that. Mostly doing them on here so that, you know, I mean, it's not like I have this giant channel with all these viewers, no big deal. But what's cool is you can go watch the videos. I need to see how about saving those videos. I may try to move them over to my YouTube channel, which I don't really have, but just so that they're always there. If people want to watch them and pick anything up that I've figured out, I'll try to teach what I've learned. And hopefully people will teach me if I'm doing something wrong. So if you know the plane and you're watching, let me know what I'm screwing up. Okay, thanks Pigpen. Yeah, I'm gonna duck out here, and I'm also want to figure out this frame drop. I don't know how the quality looks, but I keep getting these frame drops for the stream, so I might play around with the settings on that too. So anyway, so yeah, I'll be back. All right.